Starlink Battle for Atlas has been out for a few days now, and in today's video I just want to give some brief thoughts on, is this the direction that the Star Fox games of the future need to go? Now, I know Starlink Battle for Atlas is not a Star Fox game. I'm not stupid, I've not been under a rock. Maybe I'm a bit stupid, but I've not been under a rock, and I know that this is kind of, the Star Fox team are a big add-on for the Switch. You can definitely still buy this on PS4 and Xbox One, and you don't get the Star Fox team. But I'm just here today to talk about, is the lessons that we can learn for a future Star Fox game, is the lessons a future Star Fox game can take from Starlink Battle for Atlas to make a really good and needed Star Fox game? Because, let's be honest, it seemed directionless at times, and if the franchise is to continue for a long time, we're going to need a solid game soon. And yeah, so let's see if there's anything we can learn. So for this video, I'm going to go through kind of point by point. I've noted a couple of down. I just want to give my thoughts. So the first and biggest thing probably from Starlink Battle for Atlas that we need to talk about in regards to a new Star Fox game is the massively open world. Now, I don't know how to describe this open world because it is very open. So essentially there's 7 planets you can fly between, and things are all happening in real time on each of them, and you can fly between them and get attacked by pirates, and then you need to fly back to Haven, and then you need to fly to another world because you're losing control. Essentially there's a lot going off in real time while you're playing. And if you watch some of the links in the description, you'll see what I mean by everything's happening at once in the universe, or in the galaxy, for example. So while you're doing something on one planet, you might need to hop over to another. It's a big open world thing. It's massively open world. And I like this to an extent. I like this for Starlink Battle for Atlas. I think it's unique. But for Star Fox Adventures, I found myself... Star Fox Adventures? I wonder what I'm going to talk about next. But for a new Star Fox game, I found myself asking, do we need that kind of open world? And it brought me back to my entry point into the series, which is going to be very controversial. Star Fox Adventures was my entry point. Now, I know this isn't so much of a traditional Star Fox game. I mean, he doesn't even have his blaster. A lot of people despise the game because they say, well, it's not Star Fox game, it's crap. But I liked it. I liked it for what it was. I accepted it for what it was, more of a sort of Zelda-style game than a traditional Star Fox game. And I think that sort of open world we can definitely take forward, and would be a preference for me to the massively open world we get in Battle for Atlas. So if I just want to explain a little bit, so in Star Fox Adventures you had your center planet, Dinosaur Planet, what an absolutely creative name, and then you had little bits of the planet that had come off. Now, when you were on the center planet, everything was open world sort of there. Like, yeah, you might have to go through a few loading screens, but it felt quite open world. You could go wherever you wanted on the planet. It took minimal time to get there, and that was cool. And also, it was the same when you went off to the bits of the planet that are broken up, such as Dark Ice Mines, things like that, and Dragon Rock thing, and the last one. So, although it was kind of broken up into chunks of you're going to go here now, but you could actually choose where you went when, which is a nice thing. So you could decide, yeah, I've had enough on the Center Dinosaur Planet, I can now go off and get a Spellstone somewhere else, which is open world. And so you're kind of breaking it up like that. So you're deciding where you want to go and when you get there, it's not linear, you're not kind of following, right, you've gone here, now you need to fight these people and then go here. It felt a lot more open than that, and I feel like that'd be a better structure for a future Star Fox game than what we got in Starlink, because it just feels like Starlink, there was too much going on. If a Star Fox game went there, could we really... I don't know. I just feel like it's too open for the next Star Fox game, in my opinion. So I feel like something like the open world in Star Fox Adventures would be better. But obviously there are lessons we can learn from the open world in Starlink. One big example of this is the way you have more control flying between the planets. So although everything's going off at once, maybe if we had in a new Star Fox game, yeah, you've left that planet, so everything's going to kind of stay nicely as it is there. We don't need to worry too much, we don't need to go back and sort things out. we're going to fly to another planet, but you kind of control that flight. It's not selected off a menu. You are directly flying there. And then maybe while you're out there, as you can in Starlink, maybe you'll encounter some enemies, some sort of space pirates. That's not the right description of them, Alex. That's the wrong description. But maybe you'll encounter people like that and you can maybe trade with them, maybe you'll fight them, things like that. So it does have a bit more open world in the space element, definitely, than Star Fox Adventures did, because everything in Star Fox Adventures space-wise was pretty much pointless, apart from the final boss battle, because it was like, fly through 5 gold rings, and it was just kind of like, this has been plopped in here to make it feel like a Star Fox game. Whereas I think they can definitely embrace that more. Embrace that more in a new Star Fox game and sort of the Starlink model. So I feel like open world wise, and I feel like that's the best way to go in my opinion. But obviously do leave your comments down below, and I hope I've explained that well. If you've not played Star Fox Adventures, maybe it'll be a little bit more difficult for you to understand, but I've done my best there. Other things I liked from Starlink was the space combat, so the combat when you were in space, not the combat on the planet. I don't like the look of so much, and I think they touch on that in the game Xplain review they did of the game that they did on that channel. I'll leave a link in the description. But yeah, the space combat looks good, but I don't really have too many thoughts on the combat. I just wouldn't want it to be too complicated. It looks nice on Starlink, so yeah, I don't think we can worry about that too much. It obviously will be a major factor of any Star Fox game because that's what it's all about. But if we're looking at the kind of where we can tie in Starlink, it's a good model, but I can't really say too much more than that. So the final thing I want to talk about today is sort of the story. Now, as I've not actually played Starlink, and I've not even seen a playthrough of it, a full playthrough, I don't really want to talk about the Starlink story too much because, yeah, I don't know enough about it. But I like the fact there's a big enemy in there that they're dealing with constantly, so that's pretty good. That'd be completely unsurprising, and obviously it's pretty much necessary for a good story, because you need that kind of progression in the story between you and the Star Fox team, and obviously the enemies. So that's obvious. But what I will say about a story, and I've stated it before in videos on Star Fox, is that we need to see the foundation of something solid and not something stupid, in my opinion, like we've had in recent games. What we need is a point. We need a progression, maybe a linear story. I'm not a big fan of these kind of games, of your decisions affect the game, because ultimately then you get to the next game and how can you progress on that? Because unless you're going to fit it in so it links with your decisions in the first game, maybe if you're playing on the same account, it just makes things a bit messy. So I do like a good story where it's sort of set out for you and you're embracing and enjoying a story that's been designed for you. And I feel like that's going to be massive for the next Star Fox game. I really do think it will be big, because we need a story which we can invest in over a number of games. Now, although the gameplay is obviously the most important thing for a lot of people, for me, the gameplay is important, like the space combat I'm talking about here. The core Star Fox space combat and gameplay is going to be so important for the core fans. But if you want an experience you can buy into and really get to know the characters more, because I don't know much about the characters. I've played a lot of Star Fox and we still don't know much about them because we're not really told anything about them. I don't want an absolute emotional roller coaster through the lives, but just a nice solid story we can actually build on for a number of games. I think is going to be really important. So yeah, that's kind of been a quick thoughts video, a little bit on Starlink Battle for Atlas and what a new Star Fox game can learn some things from there. I've obviously not covered absolutely everything that crossed my mind because I don't write it all down, because I have quite a busy life, so I don't really get time to make videos that much. So yeah, if you've got any other thoughts, please do share them in the comment section below. I'm very interested to read them. Do you like Starlink Battle for Atlas? Can Star Fox learn anything off it? you know, anything like that, let me know. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you for your time today. I hope you have enjoyed the video. If you have, make sure you go and check out the description and watch our Nintendo playlist. We have a new Nintendo video, like we just did one on Yoshi's Crafted World yesterday, which I think if this goes out on Thursday, yeah. And we have one of them every Wednesday at 7 PM UK time, where we look at an upcoming game and we give some thoughts in a more structured way than just a thoughts video. So yeah, thank you for watching. Please do remember to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you do want to see more Nintendo content. We've also got loads more gaming content on there and lots more coming up, like Spyro. We've got more Call of Duty stuff. We've got things on EA coming up. We've got things on PlayStation, Xbox One for 2019, so we're looking at Anthem, and obviously the thing I'm most interested in and partake most in is the Nintendo videos. So thank you so much for watching, thank you for your time today, and I will see you in another video.